Hello and welcome to Live from the Roadhouse podcasts with a special Twin Peaks interview, which is something I haven't done in a long while. But the opportunity happened quite happily recently with my guest here. She starred in season 3 of Twin Peaks as Miriam Sullivan, and it is, of course, Sarah Jean Long. How are you, Sarah?
Hi, doing really well. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Excellent.
Sarah. Right, let's go into Twin Peaks because you made a mark as your character. You were in 4 episodes, some longer, some shorter, but you were there, and we'll talk about those episodes in a moment. Mm-hmm. But I want to ask you first, and correct me if I'm wrong. Was this the first television you'd done? Were you quite new in the business at that point?
No, I had mostly just done stage theater, and I was studying at Santa Monica College to get my associate degree in theater. So yeah, it was my first bit. They just kind of found me.
Oh, that's fantastic. And what was the casting process like for this?
Well, I work at the local movie theater here in Los Angeles, and the casting director, Joanna Ray, walked up with me with her bestie, Richard Chamberlain, who I didn't know was Richard Chamberlain at the time. And I was just selling tickets, and they came up to me, and Richard asked me if I was an actress and I might have a role. And I was, of course, thinking, yeah, right, sure. But it turned out it was legit. 2 weeks later, I was auditioning, and it wasn't really an audition. It was more of like a personality interview. And then she asked me to do a monologue, and then a couple days later, there it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
And do you remember what the monologue was you had to do? Was it actually part of the script?
No, it was just one of my just one of the monologues I have in my repertoire. It was from a musical called My Name is Alice, called Demigod. I'm blanking on the name of the writer, but I found it in like some really old monologue book like years ago. But it looks like it worked out well. I guess they liked it.
Yeah. So you got to shoot though. You'll see some of your scenes up in Washington State.
Oh yeah, all of them.
All of them were done there. All of them.
Yeah.
I know. Well, obviously, I knew that one that stands out obviously is the diner.
Yeah.
Because I know that was really shot in the diner there. It wasn't a stage set they built, but they decorated it apparently for the owner. Redecorated it so they could use it as a set. Because it had changed a little bit since it was filmed there originally. With owners changing, they changed the look of it quite a bit. So they wanted to get it back to how it looked as in the original, with the floor and the seats around the counter and so on. Because that was all different apparently. So the owner not only got to have the crew come in there and film in there again, which was, kudos for him, I should think. But he got the place, decorated for free, so he was quite happy,
Yeah, yeah, I bet he was.
And it's still like that now. He hasn't changed it.
No, I don't think he is. It's pretty much. It should be like a landmark by now.
Oh yeah. The only thing he had on it was this great big thing that was hanging down that people got annoyed by, was a huge Tweety Pie hanging from the ceiling. You know the cartoon character Tweety Pie?
Oh, that
one.
The
little canary thing.
Yeah.
It's like a huge toy of that hanging on the top, which people thought, no, you're ruining the Twin Peaks 5, man. Get rid of it.
Hilarious. I don't think I saw it when I was there, but I should look up a picture of it. That sounds
It might be there. I don't know if you put it back up there at that point, but I'm sure.
You can do what you want.
It was there a long time though, but in between shoots, it was every opportunity it was back up.
I know. I bet if fans did see it, they were like, "What scene is this one in?" I don't remember. They're probably going crazy trying to figure out why the Ladybird and thinking, oh, there's a deeper meaning to it, but
Yeah.
no, just the owner.
So you got to shoot in there, which is, a sort of iconic bit of Twin Peaks there, the diner, Just to backtrack a little bit from that, were you aware of Twin Peaks before you got cast in it? Had you watched the original series or anything like that? Or
I have not. It was pretty much, it was kind of like weird because it had popped up on my Netflix like a couple weeks before Joanna Ray even walked up to me, and I even watched the first episode and then just left it at there, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. And but I didn't know how big the show was until I found out it was Twin Peaks, and then I told my parents, and they're like, oh my God, holy Sarah, this is really huge. I'm like, oh, okay. So, yeah, I did not know how big the show was until I found out what it was.
Yeah. And have you seen it since?
I've just watched the third season. There's still a lot to go through, but I have a lot of my friends have, and they are just hooked. Like, they binge watch the whole thing, and I'm probably on my way to do that pretty soon. Because I keep hearing so many weird things about it, and I love weird.
Oh, you'll love it then. You really will love it, because there's plenty of weird in it.
Yeah, my favorite.
I wouldn't say it was quite on the level of season 3 weird in some aspects, but there's certainly a lot of weird and a lot of mystical things and high strangeness.
Rose on my side. There we go.
Some high strangeness.
Yeah, I mean,
and dreams and all that sort of stuff comes in, and dream logic, and a lot of comedy. There's a lot of comedy moments in it as well. It's very funny in some places. So I think you'll like it, and you've got all the lovely characters in it too, and they give them, because it ran over 2 seasons, gave a lot of character development time to breathe and everything. So it's all good.
I'm looking forward to it.
So that scene you did in Tweeds, Sarah, was a really lovely little jolly scene. A really happy little scene with you and Andrea Hayes playing Heidi.
Yeah.
Because she was in the original series, as well and stuff. So, and still doing the same job after all these years. So she must really love it there,
Yeah, they must pay well.
They must do, yeah. So you're all talking about the merits of cherry pie and things like that, and it's still really lovely. What do you remember about doing that, and the kind of direction you got for those scenes working with Andrea?
Not really much direction. I did have a conversation with David over the phone like a month or so before, seeing if I can get any sort of character development. And he pretty much just told me to be myself. I'm a really bubbly person. I mean, I call it my customer service self, but I'm a really happy person. I pretty much just brought that to the scene because I really believe that to be my essence. Bubbly, friendly, kid-loving kind of person. My favorite memory is you don't exactly see in the kitchen. There were so many pies, like hundreds and hundreds of pies. Wow. And I had never, I've never really been a fan of pie, but the cherry pie they had on set was delicious. It was so good and fresh. So I just remember just sitting in that booth, like even during the breaks, I did not want to leave because I just wanted to observe everything, because we did that scene. That was my first day on set. So I remember taking everything in, talking to my stand-in. David was doing his own thing, smoking his cigarettes inside the diner in the corner. So I was just taking it all in. Yeah.
But were you? Were you aware of David Lynch? Before you worked on the series, did you know?
I knew
quite well known.
I knew it was a legend. Mulholland Drive and all the other movies that he did. But I've never again seen any of them. He just seemed, when I met him, he just seemed like a really nice guy. I didn't get to really see his really big essence until like more into the week, or even at the cast parties, but like on set, he's just a normal dude.
Yeah. So you shot that scene. That scene obviously was, a nice, happy scene.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, the next scene that followed it was very, very traumatic. You go from one extreme to the other, which is something he does very well, actually. In Twin Peaks, in the original and the new and this one, where it can follow from like an extremely absurd scene, perhaps a real comedic scene, straight into the most darkest scene you can imagine. Will follow it, and it just seems to fit bizarrely. Quite. There's no, you can't see the scene or anything,
Yeah.
And this sort of thing happens here. Where you come out, you got your coffee. I think you've come out of the diner, and it's just the moment where the kid is hit by Richard Horne in the truck, and all everything goes crazy. The mother, Lisa Coronado, who I know as well, she's a really lovely actress, played the mother of the kid.
Yeah.
Does a great job in showing the emotion there and everything like that. But you are a witness to this. So when Richard's driving by, your eyes meet and he hooks in on you, and you think, right.
Yeah.
You've seen too much, mate. Your card is marked, Miriam, basically.
Yep.
It comes back to haunt you in a little while, very, very tragically as well, That scene, Sarah, when you did that scene on the exterior of the cafe, I'm guessing, I could be wrong, but I'm guessing that was just a reaction shot you were doing. Was Eamon actually there in the same scene with you?
He was in the car, yeah. They had a camera on the front of his truck, and there was a camera following him, and there was another camera. There were like a bunch of cameras on the truck. So yeah, it was a reaction scene, but he was driving the car, so I did get to give him that look of horror of him driving by, and I get to look into his cold dead eyes as he passes by. So that was great.
Pretty wild, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did it take long to do that scene?
I was like on set from like 9 a.m. and I think we filmed around 4. So I guess you never know which scenes you're going to film until we get there. So It took a while to get there, but to do the scene, I think it only took like maybe an hour or so. There was a bunch of fans nearby taking pictures on the corner behind it, so that was really fun to watch and act in front of an audience. So,
pretty amazing, really. But one thing I am amazed by, really, Sarah, is the amount of secrecy that was kept from filming. Very little got out. I don't think, if anything, got leaked. Really. It was extraordinary that you think in this day and age with all the, the social media and everything, people, after David had expressed something about, please let us do our work and no cameras about, whatever it was. He did some tweet around that time you were doing it, I think. Mm-hmm. And it basically stopped. Stopped, which is extraordinary in this day and age because, people leak all sorts of things from film sets. They get in, they film things, they leak stuff, and to think that all the way through, nothing really major got out is pretty extraordinary, really,
Yeah. Well, I think David waited so long to do this just so he can have the crew and the family and the ableness to shoot it the way he wanted to. And I think everyone just respects him enough to just respect his wishes. Yeah. And because even like the cast, the crew, the casting directors, the costume designers, everyone really felt like a family. Everyone made you feel at home. So I think that's the reason why it took so long to get this up and running, because he really wanted to find the right team. So I think that was part of it. And the fans, they completely respect him. They honor the dude. He's a legend. So I think that's the reason why it worked out that way. And Showtime gave him all the money that he can to be able to do that. So it worked out.
Yeah. Right. The next thing is this scene Sarah, is very, very disturbing, I think, that you were in. It's the scene where Richard Horne, played by Eamon Farron, finally catches up with you, and you live in a little trailer.
Yes.
It seems to be out in the sticks a bit, but he's found you. It starts by talking to you from outside, and all you can hear is your like disembodied voice talking from inside the trailer.
Yeah.
You won't come out, to him, obviously. But then he busts in, and again, we don't see it. It's off camera. It's implied that he's obviously causing you a lot of pain. He's beating you. It sounds, even though we can't see it, the implication is enough for it to be really violent, And then we see the aftermath of you lying on the ground. Now, that scene, how difficult was that to get into that? Although you weren't shown to be beaten, there was. It's a very strong scene, and I just wondered how you felt when you were shooting that with Eamon.
Well, that was definitely my favorite scene. I honestly love playing the victim. Anytime I get to scream bloody murder, love it. So we just did a few rehearsals, just talking it out, and then when it came to actually just getting down to it, the only suggestion I got from David was to scream louder. So it pretty much just came together. Me and Eamon really just connected really closely, and we vibed really well. So doing the scene really wasn't that difficult. It was a lot of fun for me. I love this kind of scene. And just you don't see Eamon's face when he charges to the door. I don't know, maybe you do for a split second, but it was terrifying. So that was enough motivation to scream and attempt to find a hiding place in my tiny trailer, which didn't work. And then just during the scene, like when we're doing the pan shots down my body, David gave me a little extra touch of blood, did some final prep on it, which is lovely. And just being in the pool of blood was my favorite. I don't know why. It's weird like that. Anything that takes me out of normal.
Did you have to lie there for quite a while, Sarah?
Not really. Maybe like 15, 20 minutes tops. They had to do a couple takes and replace the sugar glass that he broke. So that was cool. I learned about sugar glass. So.
Yes. Yeah.
So I was, again, just learning and taking it all in and doing my best not to screw up. So I
don't think you did. You didn't. By any where was that shot, by the way, Sarah? Can you remember where that location was?
I think it was maybe like 30, maybe 20 minutes away from the diner in the field. Okay. Yeah, like right behind that farmhouse you see in the background. There's like a field with horses, and it's in the middle of this, lots of oxygen around, mountains, trees. It was pretty much in the middle of nowhere. I think I saw a bunch of deer on the way there, which is always fun for a Los Angeles to see animals.
Oh, yes. Yeah. That's a rare treat for you, yeah.
Very rare. So it was, just on somebody's farm land in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it looked very effective anyway. That you were really like shut off. It seemed, it had that, it gave that, that good effect. Sadly, now and the makeup job is very good on you here. Actually, the next scene you're seen in was the boys that discovered you on the like the curb or the roadside. I'm thinking, how far did you crawl to get there? I was wondering how far away was your little house.
Oh God!
Was it just behind there, or did you, God forbid, crawl, for hours like that? We're not sure. We don't know. We don't see that, but it's kind of wow.
Yeah, I think that was like a couple hours away. It was near that bridge, the red bridge that makes an appearance in one of the other seasons, I believe.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah. So that was another location. So if I put it all together in my head, just mapping it out, it looks like a couple miles. It feels like a bunch of miles to me. But in real life, I was just crawling maybe like a foot at most, or just writhing in the mud, writhing. Yeah, whatever the word is.
That makeup is pretty horrific. That was done. That's a great job. Who did that, by the way?
Dude, I don't remember the actual makeup person. I don't remember his name. He's lovely though. It took him a couple of hours, but in the end, David again added his touch on it.
Yeah.
And touched it up a bit, which was an honor. And then they were really careful about not showing it to the kids because they didn't want to traumatize them in any way. But it just, they ended up just being boys and just really thinking it was cool. So that was a relief. Yeah, I wish I could remember his name. But if he's watching this, you're amazing. I'm sorry, I can't remember your name.
No, it was an amazing job. It was convincing, very convincing, which is what you want,
It was awesome just hanging around set like that. There was one time when I got out of the car and the security guard was there, and he gave me like this look of like horror, and he's like, "Wait, this is the acting thing, right?" I'm like, "Yes, it's the acting thing," because it was that bad in real life.
The last scene we see you in is just really brief, and so we have to wonder what is what is Miriam's fate really, because we just see you hooked up to like a what do you call it? Is a life support machine, I guess.
Yeah, a life support machine.
Yeah.
Really?
And we don't know whether you're going to be all right or not. Are you going to come out of it? So that's kind of like, oh dear.
Yeah, you hear that my surgery is getting paid for, but as to if I actually make it or not, that's a whole nother mystery.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I do.
It's never quite, obviously it's just left unanswered. Like, quite a lot of things were, left unanswered. So we have to just hope for the best, really, that you pull through, because we don't know unless it's resolved in some way. We'll never know. But in retrospect, Sarah, what do you think you took away from your experience working on the show?
It was my first ever thing on set, so it was really a starting point of my career in acting, and just getting that first taste of just being on set and doing what I loved for the first time. And it really just made me fall in love with acting all over again, because I've only ever done theater, like live theater. So I just took away the amazing experience, all the memories, all the people that have helped me so far. Joanna Ray, she got me my agent, and just being able to talk to all the fans. All the fans are so lovely. I'm still taking away. I'm still enjoying this experience. So
that's good. That's great. Yeah. Because you've been to a lot of the sort of lot of the events that were connected with the series. Recently as well. Like the pop-up thing, the pop-up shops that were in LA and things like that, and all that kind of stuff. So it must be pretty cool to do that.
I did. I went to the diner, and I also went to the pop-up restaurant that was there, and that was a lot of fun. And they have once a month they have a Twin Peaks Friends and Family Dinner, which is actually, there's another one this Wednesday that I'll be attending, where most of the cast show up. So that's Robert Browski, Kristen Calloway, not a bunch of names, but a lot of familiar faces from this season come up. I'm actually, Kimmy Robertson's a really good friend of mine. We actually work at the same theater company, or have worked at the same theater company. So she comes by every once in a while. But I'm going to one of those events on Wednesday. So
fantastic.
Look out for those pictures on my Facebook.
I will. That's great, man. That's lovely.
Yeah.
Well, that was your Twin Peaks questions, Sarah. Okay. Right. Now, moving on to something I noticed recently when I was contacting you about the interview, was this new film that you're working on,
Yeah.
Am I right in saying that you're in it, you're starring it, but also are you an associate producer as well, I believe? Is that right?
I am, yes.
Yeah. And it's called, wait for it, Zero Fucks.
Zero Fucks, yes.
I will ask you why it's called Zero Fucks. That's the first question. Why is it called Zero Fucks?
Well, the writer, Ben, I don't actually have an answer to that. Once you see the movie, you'll understand. The script was actually written by Ben Eckstein, whose wife is Krista Hussar, who was the co-casting director of Twin Peaks. And he wrote it as a play. And I was actually in the original play production, and he just really came up with this idea. And he's like, it's called Zero Fucks. I'm like, okay, maybe it's just a working title. But then once you see the whole thing, you just realize that, okay, at this point, we got to have zero fucks. Because it's not just about the plot, but it's just the fact that this could happen, that it might happen. Just a lot of things that happen in this thing. It's just worrying that it's just, yeah. But that's my answer. I have no idea. You never know what's happening in Ben Eckstein's head. So that's why he's so fun.
This is the sort of like tagline I got from it, from the site, the website for the film. And it's sort of a little description of what it's about. It says Zero Fucks is a dark, subversive, post-apocalyptic political satire exploring what might be the motivations of a madman pursuing power and what might happen if he actually got it.
Yeah, so a romantic comedy, obviously.
Yeah. So, right. So let's delve into it a bit more, Sarah, because I was interested in knowing that fellow Twin Peaks actor, that's a mutual friend of ours, John Piricello's in it.
Yes, he is.
And which I think gives the game away by saying what his character's name is. It's Donald Pump. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't. I don't think it would. I think we could work out pretty quickly as who it's alluding to.
Really? Can you tell me? I can't figure it out.
as the woman that's in it is called Ivanka Pump as well. So I mean, there you go. So there's a double barrel there. But the twist in this is that most of you were survivors of a nuclear blast. I think that's right in saying, aren't you?
That's correct.
You're all humans except John is a cat.
Yeah.
So how did that happen?
Well, we found him in the sewer one day and sent him back to health, got rid of all of his STDs and whatnot. And he just showed up as a human-sized, that radioactivity man. Bonkers. Can do crazy stuff to you. He's a result
of it, like a radioactivity mutation thing.
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah. He's a very tall cat. He's about 6'5", isn't he? I think he's very tall, John. Yeah. So, tell us how far you've got with this now. I believe you've shot it all, haven't you? You filmed it all, but you're stuck at post production. That's where you've started a crowdfunder for that.
Yes, we have. We started a crowdfund for that, and we're reaching out to all of our friends and fans and everyone who is slightly worried about the future in our current political state here in America. I mean, when we wrote it, we didn't know he was going to get elected. It was literally, not when we wrote it, when we performed it. It was a week before he got elected. So it's, I think it's a film that everyone needs to see, if not just to laugh it off of it or just, get satisfaction in the fact that you get to see Donald Trump as a cat. So we're really just reaching out to everybody that we can and trying to get as many donations, just $10 from anybody would really help us get this movie out there, because it is something I believe everybody needs to see. Like, there's nothing like this out there.
Yeah, so it's all filmed, so it's basically just the costs for the post-production side of things that you need to raise the money for. Yeah,
precisely. Yeah.
What's the character you play in this, by the way, Sarah? What's your character in the film?
My character's name is Wanda. I'm a biologist, and I work in the gardens there at the facility. And my boyfriend is Adam there, who's played by Miguel Lopez. And we pretty much have this really weird relationship where we know we're the only people on Earth. So it's a very, very open relationship, but he's still my boyfriend.
Yeah.
And my character, once Ivanka shows up, I'm completely against her. She is the devil. Oh. And it's pretty much my job to try to get her out of the facility, as well as with Kate, who's played by Elizabeth Ann Weiss, who also makes an appearance in Twin Peaks. So yeah, we're pretty much just really trying to convince the guys to take their to stop using their groin and start using their head when it comes to Ivanka. So
yeah. So I wish you all the best with that, by the way, Sarah. Can you let us know where let the listeners know where they can find the the fundraising website?
It's very simple, zerofucksmovie.com. And you can look us up on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter as Zero F's the movie, because apparently Facebook is censoring us, which is fun. But yeah, just type in Zero Fucks. It'll pop up, Zero Fucks the movie. You can contribute, like, share it, comment, show it to your friends, show it to your Republican friends, because they'll get a hoot out of it. Yeah, just click in and check it out. I think y'all really like it.
Oh, cool. All right, we'll do that, and I'll put a little link to it in the description box as well for this show. Thank you. Hopefully it will help with it. Well, for now, Sarah, thank you so much for joining me for the interview. I really appreciate that.
That was my pleasure.
And we'll see you all soon as well, I hope, with more interviews if I get the opportunity. Yeah. So until then, guys, thanks for listening and take care.
Bye.